Hey there, so in this video we are going to learn switch case statements in C++. Let's quickly get started. Now before directly jumping on to switch case statement, I have a small problem statement for you. So let's first try to solve this problem statement with the help of existing decision control statements that we know, and then we'll try to discuss about what are the disadvantages of few of the existing decision control statement and how switch case is better as compared to few of the existing decision control statement. Not every time, but in some scenarios switch case is better as compared to if else if ladder that we have discussed so far. So let's quickly understand the problem statement. So we're going to get digits as our inputs. What we have to do is whenever we get digit as the input, we have to print its word, okay, that digit in form of a word. For example, if we get input as 1 or 1 digit, then we have to print 1 followed by in bracket 1 star on the screen. If we get input as let's say 2, then we have to print 2 followed by 2 stars in the bracket. And let's say if we get 8 as the input, then we have to print 8 followed by 8 stars in the bracket. Remember, we are only going to get digits as the input, so we are not going to get 10 or 12 or let's say 100 as the input, because those are not digits, those are the numbers. So let's see how we can solve this problem. So what we'll do is we'll first create one variable to store the input which is going to be provided by the user. So let's create a variable with name, let's say digit. Okay, let's ask the user to enter the digits. So we'll write cout enter a digit, and then let's write cin digit. Okay, so over here we are accepting digit from the user. Now see, digits can be 0, 1, 2 up to 9, right? So there are 10 different possibilities of getting the different digits. So now what we need to do is, after getting the digit, we need to check what is the digit that user is entering, and depending on that we need to print something on the screen. So how we can do it? We can use decision control statement to do this. Okay, so we can use if else if ladder to achieve this code. So let's quickly see how we can do it. So what I'll do is I'll write if my digit, if it is equal to 0, if my digit is 0, then I'll write cout 0, right, followed by in bracket single star followed by /n. Correct? So in this way we can print for 0. We have to do this same thing for all the digits. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this if statement. Now I'll write else if my digit is 1. So in this, see, in 0, in case of 0 I printed 1 star, but in case of 0 this bracket should be empty. Okay, if my digit is 1, then we will have to print 1 and 1 star, and so on. We'll have to keep on repeating this for all 9 digits. So if digit is 2, then we will print 2 on the screen followed by 2 stars. If digit is 3, then we'll print 3 on the screen followed by 3 stars. So that 3 followed by 3 stars. So I think now you have got the idea, right? So we'll have to do this for 9 digits. Okay, so 3, after this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in this way you can print for all 9 digits. Let me quickly do that. Okay, so I have written else if condition for all 9 digits. Okay, you can see for digit 0 we have written if condition, then else if for digit 1, and so on till digit 9. Okay, so in this way we have covered all the digits. Now what I'll do is I'll also add else statement after this. So when we will go inside the else statement, so if the number which is entered by the user, if it is not between 0 to 9, if it is less than 0 or if it is greater than 9, in that case we'll go inside the else statement. Correct? Because see, what will happen is compiler will try to match all these conditions, and if not a single condition from this if else ladder is getting matched, then in that case finally we'll go inside the else statement. So whenever we'll come inside the else statement, we can print some message to the user. Maybe if we can print that you have no idea what digits are, because whenever we are coming to else statement, that means user has entered some incorrect value. It's not a digit, right? So yeah, I mean that's it, and It's very interesting, right? The program is very interesting. Let's quickly try to compile this code and let's try to run it, and let's see whether we are getting correct output or not. Let me just clear the terminal. Let's quickly compile this code. So we'll write g++ followed by name of the file. So in this case, my file name is switchcase1.cpp. Okay, so we have some error over here. So yeah, we forgot to give semicolon. See, every statement needs to be, it should have semicolon in the end. So we forgot that. So let's compile it again. You can see the code is now getting compiled properly. Let's clear the terminal and now let's quickly run the code. So now it's asking us a digit. Let's enter some invalid digit first. So let's enter, let's say -1, which is less than 0, which is not a digit. You can see we are getting output as you have no idea what digits are, right? Now let's enter some different value, again invalid value. Let's enter 11. You can see we are again getting a message saying that you have no idea what digits are. So basically our program is working properly for invalid inputs. Okay, now let's try to give valid inputs. So let's enter 7. You can see we are getting 7 on the screen. Let's enter 3. You can see we are getting 3. Let's enter 9. Okay, it's working for 9 as well. Let's enter 1. Let's enter 0. You can see for all the digits the program is working correctly. So in this way you can solve this problem statement. Now this is the ideal way of solving the problem statement. Not ideal way actually, because now what we are going to do is we are going to go on to the next file, next program file. I have 4 different files for you for this video. So we are going to go into the next file and we are going to see how this program can be made simple with the help of switch case statement. Okay, how program looks little better as compared to if else if ladder if we use switch case statement. So let's quickly see how the program will look. The same program, the same logic, but the different syntax. Okay, so let's see that. Okay, so I have rewritten the same program, the same logic with the help of switch case statement. Over here actually I haven't added the case for 0, so let me quickly add that. Okay, now focus on the program. See, we are doing the same thing on the top. So basically we have created a variable called as digit, and then we are taking input of digit from the user. Okay, now after taking the input from the user, this is the main thing. Now focus on this comment, what I have written in this comment. So it says that switch case statements are a replacement to a long if else if ladder which compares a variable to some integral value. See, this is very important. See, when to use switch case statement. So whenever you have to write a program in which you have to use a long if else if ladder which compares a variable with some integral value, in such scenarios you can use switch case statement instead of long if else if ladder. See, in this case you can observe this is a long if else if ladder. You can see it's very long, right? And what is happening over here? We are comparing a variable with some integral value. So whenever this scenario like this, whenever you have to write a long if else if ladder and whenever you have to compare a variable with some integral value, in that scenario ideally you can go with switch case statement. Now what is advantage of using switch case statement over a long else if else if ladder? The advantage is your code looks little cleaner as compared to long if else if ladder code. Okay, that's the only advantage. See, performance wise there is no improvement. Both of them are going to have same performance. Only the thing is that your code is going to look little cleaner as compared to long if else if ladder code. So I hope now you have got a basic idea about when to use switch case statement. Now let's focus on the syntax. See, we are going to discuss about the syntax in much more detail when I'll take you to the next file. Right now let's see it in the high level. So what we have done is we have written a keyword called as switch. Now in this switch, what we have done after switch keyword, we have given our variable. Okay, now you have to write switch keyword. After writing switch keyword, in brackets you have to write variable which you need to compare. Okay, so you can see over here in if else if ladder we have to compare this digit with some values, right? So in switch case statement what you have to do is you have to write switch keyword followed by name of the variable which you need to compare with different values. So in this case we have to compare a digit with digit values, so that's why we have written digit over here. Okay, now after writing digit over here, what you have to do is you have to write different cases, case statements. Now what is the syntax of writing case statement? You have to write case keyword followed by some integral value. Okay, So what you are going to do is you are going to write case keyword followed by some value. Now what happens is compiler takes this variable and it compares this variable with this case value, or I'll say case label value. This is called as case label. So this is case 0, this is case 1, and so on. We have till case 9, and we also have one special case that is called as default case. We are going to discuss about that. Right now just remember, whenever we give any variable name inside the switch statement, compiler is going to compare this variable with different case label values starting from here. Okay. Now whichever case label matches with our variable value, that case body is going to be executed. So let's say our digit is, let's say, 0. Okay, value of our digit variable is, let's say, 0. Then in that case what is going to happen? This digit variable value is going to match with case 0 label, okay, this label, and that's why body of this case label will be executed. Now you can see there is one keyword written over here, one special line written over here which says break followed by semicolon. Now right now let's not go into the discussion about what is this break statement, because I will tell you what is this break statement when I'll go to the next program file. Right now let's not worry about it. Right now what we'll do is we'll quickly compile this code and we'll execute it, and we'll see whether we are getting the same output that we used to get before. Okay, so let me go to the terminal, let me clear the terminal, let's quickly compile this code. So in this case my file name is switchcase2.cpp. okay, it has got compiled. Now let's quickly execute the program file. Okay, now it's waiting for our input. Okay, in this program I haven't written cout statement, that's why it's not printing enter a digit, but it's waiting for our input. So let's enter some digit, let's enter some invalid value. So if I enter, let's say, -1, let's see what happens. You can see we are getting same output, that is you have no idea what digits are. Okay, now let's enter some again invalid value, let's enter 10. You can see again we are getting error message. Let's enter some valid value now, let's enter 1. You can see we are getting 1. Let's enter 9 or 8. You can see we are getting correct answer. So you can see the code is working absolutely same as compared to the previous code. They are kind of working exact similar. Okay. Now let's go to the next program file and let's understand more about switch case statement. So let's quickly see more things about the switch case statement. Let's first discuss the syntax of switch case statement. It's super easy. You have to write switch keyword followed by integral variable. See, whatever variable you are going to write inside switch, it needs to be either of type integer or character. You cannot write any other variable. Okay, it needs to be either integer or character. See, obviously you can write variable which is going to be of type long int or short int. That is fine because you are just adding type modifiers to integer. But you are not allowed to use boolean variable or floating variable or double variable inside the switch statement. So this is very important. Okay. Now after this you have to write curly brace open and curly brace close, and in the curly brace open curly brace close you are going to write different case statements. Okay. So how you can write case statement? So you have to write case label first followed by case body, okay, and followed by break statement. So how we can write case label? So you have to write case keyword followed by constant expression. Now I will tell you what is this constant expression with the help of one example. Right now let's focus, or let's remember that we have to write case keyword followed by one constant expression. Okay, and you can write multiple cases. How many cases you want, you can write them. And finally you can also write one default case. So it's very similar to our else statement. I will tell you more about the default statement, but you can also optionally write default statement after you write all the case statements in switch case statement. Okay, see, in each and every case you can write some code that you have to execute if the case matches with the value of your variable. Okay, so you're going to write some expression in the case, right? So if that expression result matches with value of the variable, then body of that case will going to be execute. Okay, now let's go to the next point, next important point about the switch case statement. See, in switch case statement, the first important point about the switch case statement is the expression provided in the case label should be a constant expression. Okay, so whatever expression we provide over here, this expression, see, this is called as expression of case label. See, in this case the expressions are normal constants. Okay, 0, 1, 2, even these are the expressions. Okay, so these are normal constants in our case, but you can also provide some expressions like this, like 0 plus 1, something like this. but the point says that the expression that you are going to provide, it needs to be a constant expression. Now what do we mean by a constant expression? So for that I have given two examples. So let's focus on the example, this example. So in this example what I have done is I have created two variables a and b of integer type. I have given a to the switch, and in case I have written b, case b, where this b is a variable. This is invalid because b is a variable, it's not a constant, and as per the definition that we just discussed, this case label needs to be a constant. It needs to be a constant expression. That's why this is illegal. You cannot write something like this. Okay, but if you write something like this, instead of writing int b is equal to 4, if you write const int b is equal to 4, then this b becomes a constant, right? Then value of b cannot be changed, it becomes a constant, then this becomes valid. So then you can write something like this. You can write something like case b or case b plus 1 or case b into 10. So basically the expression needs to be a constant. Expression needs to be made of the constant. No variable needs to be used inside the case expression. Then and then only it will be a valid case expression. So this is a very important point about a switch case statement. See, you can expect some MCQs in your MCQ test based on these points that we are discussing over here. Okay, so I hope now you are clear on the point 1. Case label or case expression needs to be a constant. Okay, let's discuss the second point. Duplicate case values are not allowed. Okay, so you cannot write something like this. Let me just show you. See, this is illegal because what is happening over here, we are using duplicate case value. We are using 0 case multiple times. So this is not allowed. Duplicate case values are not allowed. You can see we are getting an error. Case label value has already appeared in switch case at line number 29, right? So duplicate case values are not allowed, and it makes sense, right? Because you have to compare variable with some values. So if you have written value previously, then you don't need to repeat it again because it makes no sense, right? So duplicate case values are not allowed. This was the second point. Now let's discuss about the third point, which is very important. See, break keyword in each case indicates end of a particular case. Okay, so focus over here. See, in the case body, this is the case body. See, end of the case body is indicated by this break statement. Okay, so this break statement indicates end of the case body. This is very important. See, now this point is very important. If we do not put the break in each case, then even though the specific case is executed, the switch in C++ will continue to execute all the cases until the end is reached or until some break statement is found. Okay, so I know this is looking a little bit difficult, but let's understand this by this code. Okay, so what I'll do is now I'll remove few of the break statements. So I'll remove this break from here. I'll remove this break as well. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll compile this code again. Now focus very carefully. I'll clear the terminal. Let's compile this code and let's quickly execute it. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll enter 0 as the input. Now if I enter 0 as the input, ideally we should get 0 followed by in bracket no star as the output, right? But in this case, as I have removed few of the break statements, now let's see what happens. So I'll enter 0 as the input. You can see we are getting output as 0 followed by 1 followed by 2. Now why this is happening? See, whenever we are having 0 value in our variable, that is digit, this digit will be matched with this case, right? Because in digit we have value as 0 and this case label is having value as 0. So this is matching with this case. So this thing will be printed on the screen. Now once particular case is executed, whatever cases we are having after this case, if we are not using break statement, if we are not using break inside the case or at the end of the case body, all the cases after this will also get executed. So compiler will not match these cases again with the variable. It's going to execute all the cases until it reaches the end of the switch case statement or until it finds some break keyword or break statement. Okay, so basically it's going to execute all the cases until it gets some break keyword or until end of the switch case gets hit. Okay, so that's why if you observe over here, we don't have break statement in case 0 and case 1. That's why 0 is getting printed, then 1 is getting printed. and then in this case also we don't have breaks, that's why 2 is also getting printed, and then in 2 or case 2 we have break statement, that's why from here we are coming outside of the switch case statement. So it's very important to write break after end of each and every case. Now sometimes in some scenarios we don't need to give break, because in some scenarios we can write the logic in such a way that by not giving break we can get some interesting outputs. Okay, so we'll also see some example of that sort, but right now remember, if you want to come outside of the switch case statement from some particular case, you have to use break statement. Okay, break statement will take you outside of the switch case statement. If you don't give break statement, then all the cases after that case which just got executed will also execute, and this execution will go on until and unless compiler finds some break statement or the end of the switch case is getting reached. Okay, so let's quickly revise this point. If we do not put break statement in each case, then even though a specific case is executed, the switch in C++ will continue to execute all the cases until the end is reached, or I forgot to add one small point over here, until the end is reached or until we find some break statement. Okay, so in order to not avoid this, what we can do is we can put break keyword in each case. Okay, now the break will terminate the case once it is executed and the control will fall out of the switch. So whenever a break statement is executed, the control will now go outside of the switch. So whenever switch statement execute, control will go outside of the switch statement. So in this way it works. Okay, now let's move to the fourth point. See, the break statement is optional. If omitted, the execution will continue on into the next case. Okay, so this is something that we just discussed. Now let's move to the fifth point. The default statement is optional. Now let me tell you a few things about the default statement. So default statement is very similar to your else. So whenever you write if else if ladder, what happens is these conditions will be checked, right? If no condition is executing to true, or if no condition is giving you true as the output, no if else if block will be executed, right? And after if else if block, if you are writing else, then what is going to happen? If no condition is getting executed to true, then finally this else statement will be executed. Similarly, in switch case we have default statement. If this variable is not matching with any of these case values, then finally the default statement will be executed. Okay, so it's very similar to your else statement. If this variable is not matching with any of the case value, then finally this default statement will be executed. And the point about the default statement is optional. It's not compulsory to write default statement. You can also skip writing default statement. Okay, so I hope you are clear on all these 5 points. Let's quickly revise them. The first point says that switch case label value needs to be a constant expression. Second point says that duplicate case values are not allowed. Third point says that break keyword is important in order to take out the control from the switch case. Okay, if break keyword is skipped, then the control will go to the next case labels until and unless we find some break keyword, or until and unless we reach to the end of the break switch case statement. The fourth point says that break keyword is optional, or break statement is optional. If we don't write break statement, then our control will go on to the next cases until and unless we find some break statement, or until and unless the complete switch case is getting executed. And the fifth point says that default statement is optional. Okay, so I hope now you are clear on the switch case thing. Now I have few code snippets for you, some code example. Let's see what we will get as the output if we execute these codes. Okay, this is just for clarifying few of our concepts about switch case. Okay, so let's first see the first snippet. So in first snippet I have created one variable with value 4. I have written a switch case statement. In switch I have given var, okay, in the switch, and then I have two cases, case 4 and case 5. In case 4 I am printing var is 4, in case 5 I am printing var is 5, and each and every case I have written break statement. Okay, and I have also written a default statement, and in default statement I have written var is neither 4 nor 5. Now let's see what happens if we execute this code. So let me clear my terminal and let's quickly compile this file. So name of this file is switchcase4.cpp, and let's quickly execute the code. You can see we are getting output as var is 4. Okay, why we are getting this output? Because see, value of var is 4, so it's matching with case 4, that's why this is getting executed. After this getting printed, we have break keyword. So once this break keyword is found, or break statement is found, the controls comes out of the switch case statement. So let's put one line over here. Okay, now let's quickly compile and execute it again. You can see var is 4 is getting printed, and after that, after switch case is getting printed. So once this break statement gets executed, our control comes out of the switch case, and whatever we are writing after switch case will start executing. Okay, now let's see what happens if we change the value of var to 5. So what will happen? It's pretty simple, straightforward. It will print var is 5 and after switch case. Well, let's see what happens if we change value of var to 10. So in case of 10, value of variable will neither match with case 4, it will neither match with case 5. That's why the default statement will be executed. So in this case, default statement will execute and will print value of var is neither 4 nor 5. Now let's see what happens if we don't write this default statement. Let me clear the terminal and let's compile and execute this code again. You can see it's directly printing after switch case, because in this case we don't have a default statement and the value of variable is not matching with any of the case. That's why in switch case nothing will be executed, nothing will be printed. Okay, now let's move on to the next code snippet. So for that, let me comment out this code, this entire main function, and let me uncomment this main function. Okay, now focus over here. In this code snippet, what I have done is I have not written break statement. So let's see what will happen if we don't write break statements. We have already seen this, but it's just for the revision. Okay, so right now my variable is 4, its value is 4. Let's see what happens. If I execute it, you can see everything is getting printed. Why? Because first this variable is getting matched with case 4, right? And then case 4 body is getting executed, but then we don't have break statement. So even case 5 is getting executed and even default case is getting executed. So basically this entire switch case body is getting executed. Let's see what happens is if we change value of variable to 5. So let's see. In this we are getting output as var is 5 followed by var is neither 4 or 5. Why this is happening? Because initially this var is going to be checked with case 4. Now it's not matching, the value of variable is not matching with case 4. So this var will check with next case, that is case 5. And var value is getting matched with case 5. That's why whatever we have after this will be executed until and unless we find some break statement or until and unless we reach to the end of the switch case statement. That's why these two lines are getting printed on the screen. So I hope now you are clear about how break statement is important. What happens if we don't write the break statement? Okay. Now I have a next code snippet for you in which not writing break statement is kind of beneficial for us. So sometimes it also benefits us if we skip writing the break statement. Sometimes we can create some logics if by skipping the break statement. So let's see one simple code snippet. So the problem statement is very simple. What we are going to do is we are going to ask the user to enter the characters from small a to small z. Okay, once user enters a character from small a to small z, we have to check whether a given character is a vowel or it's a consonant. Okay, so that's our problem statement. So how we can solve this problem with the help of switch case statement? So what I have done is I have created a variable of character type. Then I am taking input from the user. Okay, so user will enter some character from small a to small z. Then I have given this variable to switch. Okay, now what I am doing is, see inside the switch I am writing different cases. So I have written 6 cases. First case is for small a. So you can see over here the value is small a. See, always remember in case you can use integral values. So this small a is a character value. So character is also comes under integral type. So that's why it's fine. So focus on the cases that I have written. Case A, case E, case I, case O, case U. So these are my cases for vowels. Okay, and then I have written a default case, and this default case I am using it for consonant. Okay, now see how this program will execute. If user enters any vowel, let's say user enters E, okay, what will happen? This variable is going to have E as the value. So E will be checked with case A, it will not match. Then E will be checked with case E, so it will match. Now after case E, I haven't written anything, I haven't written any body. So after case E, the execution will continue until and unless we find some break statement. You can see after E, we have I, in that also we don't have any body. Then we have case O, in that also we don't have any body. Then we have case U. Now in case U we have printed enter character is vowel, and after that I'm printing break. So basically after entering small e by the user, on the screen it's going to print entered character is vowel and followed by break statement. So we'll come outside the switch case statement and our code will print enter character is vowel. So in this case you can see we are not writing break statement inside the each and every case label, but it's kind of helping us. Okay, basically we have combined multiple case label which are associated with the vowel, and we have combined them. We haven't written body inside each and every case label because that will make our code redundant, right? See, if we have to write body inside each and every case, then it is kind of redundant code. Everywhere we have to print enter character is vowel, enter character is vowel. Instead of that, what I have done is I have written body only in one case label, and in other case label which are there at the top I haven't written any body. Now this is very important. Whatever body you are writing, it needs to be in the last case label followed by the break statement. So this is also very important. Okay, so let me quickly show you the execution. So I'll just quickly compile and execute this code. Now if I enter small e, you can see it's printing enter character is vowel. If I enter small a, it's printing enter character is vowel. How this code is executed, I hope you are clear on how this code is getting executed now. Okay, so in this way also you can tweak switch case statement and you can get some interesting outputs. Let's say what happens if user enters O. So when user enters O is not matching with case A, it's not matching with case E, it's not matching with case I, it's matching with case O. So whatever we have after case O will be executed until and unless we get some break statement, or until and unless we reach to the end of switch case. So after all we have case U, in that we have C out, so this thing will be printed, and then we have break, so we'll come outside of the switch case statement. Now if we don't write break over here, then what will happen? So whenever we enter any vowel, it will print enter character is vowel, and it will also print enter character is a consonant. So that is something that we are going to get. Let's also see that. So I'll compile this code, I'll execute it. If I enter O again, you can see it's printing enter character is vowel, and it's also printing enter character is consonant. It's kind of wrong output, so over here giving break is important. Okay, so now I hope you are clear on the switch case statement, how switch case statement works in C++.